Hi. So, in today's video, I'll be telling you a little bit about celebrities. Um, so, I noted in my book very briefly about Jennifer Lawrence that, in one of the interviews for the Hollywood Reporter, she said that, at her work, she takes a lot from other people because she watches a lot of other people. And then it started to seem to her that other people watch her, and she also said that she had her phone hacked and, excuse me, some naked photos came out. So, as naked photos came out, and it seemed to her that other people watch her, then um, she took a break from work, and probably she was visiting some you know uh, psychiatrist or psychologist. And she also said that she wanted to make the decision on her own, and she started to take part in films in scenes that required of her to be naked. Well, you know what? It seems to me that when you have your phone hacked and you send your naked photos, then uh, that doesn't make any sense that you go and start undressing in front of the cameras. Um, but yeah. Um, my impression is that Emma Stone is, or Nicole from Pussycat Dolls possibly are also connected to some people who married into my family. Uh, I also mentioned in that paragraph Edita Górniak, who is um, known for the work with energy. I mean, she's known for speaking about energy openly. And, she's also the one who had to go from court to court to fight journalists who were mean to her. And I think it was done, and a lot of people commented on her voice in a bad way. And I believe it was done because she was the woman who talked about the work with energy. She talked about it openly. And from energy to hypnosis, it's very close. Yeah. And I also mentioned, Titanic, a very famous film, where actually Claire Danes was approached to have the main role of Rose. And Claire Danes already acted with Leonardo DiCaprio in Romeo and Juliet, so she thought it would be, the same thing in her career choice. And Kate Winslet wrote to the Cameron to to the director, and she wrote, "I am your Rose." Yeah. Mm, I will not elaborate today more about Titanic, but Titanic is also the thing that I should look at. And I also mentioned, Oprah Winfrey, and Oprah had organized her Super Soul Sundays. And I believe she helped a lot of people, and she was also into work with energy and working with spirits and so on. And there was this journalist, Kate Fox, who supposedly went to study her Oprah's home, Oprah's family, and she learned about private some stories about sexual abuse. So she and she published that information, and she called in that book Oprah a liar. But I think it is unfair because you don't have to. When you work as a journalist, when you work in front of the cameras, you don't have to talk about your personal life. And even when you help people with their personal stories, you are not obliged to talk about your personal life. Um, yeah, and then, I also mentioned Whitney Houston, because we all know Whitney Houston, and people would gossip that she was too skinny, and she became skinny, and she started to go to the concert, and she just couldn't sing anymore because they would say that she couldn't hit it, the famous line that goes, and then yeah, you know how the song goes. It has its stronger moments, right? Um, so here's my thing, because when you look at Whitney Houston, it just seems she's got it so natural. And when you look at the entire story, like with using and with, I don't know how to even express that, with that food thing, disorder or not disorder, because I'm not sure if that was called a disorder or not, but people would comment that she was skinny. So um, I just believe her talent was natural, and just based on looking at my own experience with my own expression of variety of talents, um, I believe that was the work of hypnosis on Whitney Houston that prevent her from singing and accessing her own natural ability, because that was when she started to practice, and she started to do rehearsals. So this is what I grasped from the interview. It doesn't mean that I know that she never did rehearsals, but it just feels natural in her case. In Michael Jackson, he was great, and I love his songs. But not only we can see heavy makeup on his face and long hair, uh, and wanting to be white, and actually going for it and changing the color of your skin, and then those accusations of being a pedophile. Well, this is all very controversial, and this is like a lot of controversies. And I think it was done because the man was just naturally talented, and I just loved his music, and I loved Whitney's music. And I would say Oprah also has something natural about the way she conducts her interviews. So in the case of Michael, I think it could have been hypnosis too, covered hypnosis. And then from a different, point of view, I wanted to mention also Alan Goldhammer, who opened his True North Center, and that was a clinic that was focusing on helping people to fast for 40 days. So doing with them supervised 40 days lasting fast. Well, depending on the ailments of the clients, that amount of days of fasting could vary, but up to 40 they could do that. And he was the one who was the first one to open such a clinic, and he got sued for it, and he had to go to the courts and present some data that fasting is actually good for you. And I would have to tell you that fasting is more than good for you, because fasting helps you fight off any disease that you have in your body, and fasting helps you look younger, and fasting helps you see through illusions. That means that when you start fasting and you go for a longer fast, then you start seeing that people actually act out scenes in front of you, and you start seeing when more vividly, more clearly, when people lie. And therefore, the system wants to impose an idea in you that fasting is not so good, and fasting is like starving, but it's not. And therefore, they present conflicting theories and opinions about fasting and about many other, in every other area, so that you wouldn't just know. Um, and then in the book, I also, mentioned Richard Bandler, and that was the story. There was the story when Richard was actually framed into murder. That means, he was just picking up a friend because his friend asked to be picked up, and then when they reached the place, they just either saw a dead body, or there was or they were shouting. And Richard was actually the man who would use the language freely. He would have jokes, very brave and free jokes. And the truth is, like he says in the interview, I helped a lot of people, and he helped a lot of people, and he helped me with his works, because he, for example, tells you how to fight off phobias. He tells you that in the book, and you can easily apply it, and you're ready to go. So when I was discovering occultism, and when I was slowly, limiting my space and starting to live in the room, then applying the techniques that he would describe, like, working in your mental screen and then changing the emotional response to a given memory that you have that is painful for you, or that builds any other negative emotions, then you can just put a frame around it. You can make it smaller. You can change the colors of it into black and white, black and white, black and white, and then you move it from one side of the brain to another, from the middle of the mental screen to the right side, for example, or you can push that picture behind you. It seems like, well, what are you talking about? But you can apply it to any experience that is evoking any uncomfortable feelings in you, and you can try it out, and it actually works. So it helped me with with my fear, although I don't like to admit that I was scared. So, and it's not only that, he gives you a lot of things that you can apply when you are discovering witchcraft, and then you have to live your life knowing that a lot of people are occultists around you. So if you have the voice that you don't like, the voice telling you, for example, oh, I'm so stupid, oh, I'm so stupid, then you can change a character of that voice. You can use Donald Duck or any other, known voice that will change your emotional response to that thought, and it makes it sound in a different way. It makes it sound silly, right? So and of course there is more in his work. I think there is a lot with breaking the pattern. Yeah, NLP helps you to break the pattern of the same behavior, and it makes you more flexible with your behavior. So it's very, very, very interesting work. And I just don't like that that story with picking up the friend and what happens next. But what happened in my book is that I have learned that the first wife of Richard Bandler died, and then one of the readers contacted him, and they had a date, and on that date he broke a hip. And his second wife is a doctor, and she helped him, and she keeps on caring for him. But during that time when I was writing, I was it was very hard to not always I got everything right, and I got it wrong, because I wrote that I wrote yet another example, described yet another example regarding Mr. Wisniewski, with whom I was renting a room, and I just learned from his wife that, he broke one hip, and she was just talking openly about the fact that she was changing the pool, the chamber pool, and he wasn't comfortable about it, because it's a shame when you experience it, and it's a shame when you talk about it in front of anyone, right? And then it was very inconvenient for him when he had this hip broken, because it was hard to take a shower because of the way the shower was built, and they had a very high bath in the flat. And then once he recovered, then yet again he broke another hip, and he was an elderly man, so for sure it was harder for him. And the way he actually died was that he he went to the hospital. I don't remember why, but when having a shower, he slipped and he died. So we could say that he died on something that he was afraid of, but that something that he was afraid of was artificially imposed on him, because it's very unlikely that you broke one hip and then all of a sudden you break another hip, right? Yeah. So as I had that story, that memory came back to me, and I learned about Richard going on a date and that he broke a hip. Then I was like, oh no, his wife was for sure an occultist. So I am very, very sorry for writing that, and it's gonna be corrected, because I also made some mistakes in Piglet, and you just have to be able to say it. I made a mistake and I'm sorry. So I really am, because I really appreciate his work, and and what he did. Those mind practices, like going like on a tape, and changing the time, the relation in the time, and how you react in your own memory. It's really something interesting. Very, very interesting. And when you think about phobias, and when you think about psychologists and how effective they are, when you go to them for 4 years, 10 years, then really NLP is much more effective, and gives you much faster results. Yeah. And therefore, to undermine what he said and what he represented, because it's very effective, then therefore the story with picking up the friend who asked to be picked up, and then the entire story with being framed into something that he didn't do. Wow. Okay. So that's the section entitled Celebrities in my book. And if you want to buy Piglet, if you want to buy Amelia, then you will find all the info in the description of the films, and on my website, on my Facebook and Instagram accounts. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And once again, I'm sorry for the mistake I made. Yeah. And thanks for watching.